All right, we're doing lesson number 5. Lesson number 5 is all about something called properties of real numbers. And there are 4 properties of numbers. Before we do those, I will tell you that I will do on this video a question very similar to number 13, 14, 27, and 29 on this particular lesson. So 13, 14, 27, and 29. All right, here's properties of real numbers. The first property that we're going to take a look at is something called the commutative property. Commutative property. And I got that one spelled wrong there, so how about I get it spelled right first? C-O-M-M-U without the I there. T-A-T-I-V-E. All right, I'm going to go ahead and write out the definition of the commutative property down below, and then I'll give you some examples. I think the examples are much easier to understand than the actual definition. So the definition goes like this: the order in which two numbers are added the order in which two numbers are added does not change the sum. Okay, so the order in which two numbers are added does not change the sum. All right, if you're to circle one word in this that would be most important, it would be order. So let me give you an example, and I think this will make a lot more sense to you. Actually, I'll give you another phrase and then an example. So here's this is the way most people show the commutative property. They say that A plus B is the same thing as B plus A. The order in which they're added doesn't matter. And this one you already know. You already know this. We're just given something that you already know. We're given it a name. So, for example, 2 plus 1, you know, is the same thing as 1 plus 2. That's all it means. 5 plus 3 is the same thing as 3 plus 5. Okay, they both mean the same thing. That's commutative property. Here's another example. Here's another property. So the first one's called the commutative property. The next one's called the associative property. And it's this. My pencil can write here. I keep breaking lead all the time. A-S-S-O-C-I-A-T-V-E. Associative property. Okay, associative property. And this one is phrased this way. The way you group three numbers okay, when we talk about, there's more to this, but when we talk about grouping, we're talking about parentheses, brackets, or braces, just a heads up there. So the way you group three numbers when adding does not change the sum. So when adding, does not change the sum. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Most people are going to show it like this. So A plus B plus C, put the bracket or braces or the parentheses around the A plus B, is equal to A plus B plus C with the parentheses around there. So as long as you add them, where you put the parenthesis does not matter. As long as you add them, where you put the parenthesis does not matter. So if you do 1 plus 2 plus 3, 1 plus 2 plus 3, if you add these two first in this case and these two first in this case, you're going to get the same answer in the end. For example, this is 3 plus 3, which gives you 6. This is 1 plus 5, which gives you 6 as well. So the order, or the way you group them, Doesn't matter. That's called the associative property. All right, we got two more properties. Here's the next property. It's called the identity property. Okay, the identity property goes like this. The sum of a number and 0 is the number. See if I can write that so you can read it. So the sum of a number and 0 is the number. What in the world does that mean? Well, you already know this one. This is kind of like the community property. You already know it. We're just giving a name to something you already know. How about I write that so you can read it? So the sum of a number and 0 is the number. So a plus 0 is a. That's the identity property. 2 plus 0 is 2. That's all it means. You know that if you add 0 to something, you're going to get the same thing. For example, if your age right now is 13 and you add 0 to it, you get 13. That's the identity property. Okay, the last one is called the property of, it's called the inverse property. It's called the inverse property. And here's the inverse property. The sum of a number and its opposite is 0. That's an is right there. Okay, so what does this look like? Well, it looks like this. It's a plus a negative a is equal to 0. And this one you already know as well. What if I did this? 5 plus negative 5 equals 0. Well, this is really just 5 minus 5. What's 5 minus 5? 0. Okay, so we have 4 properties. We've got the commutative property, and it's all about order. By the way, when you commuted to school today, that means you moved. When you hear the word commutative property, think of these things as moving. So it was AB, now it's BA. They switch spots. That's how you want to think of the commutative property. The associative property is all about parentheses, the groups, the way you order them. Identity property means you get what you start with. So a plus 0 is a, 2 plus 0 is 2, 13 plus 0 is 13. You get what you start with. And the identity property means, the inverse property means if you take something and add its opposite, like it's negative, then you get 0. All right, and that's lesson number 4. Lesson number 5. I did promise you I'd work through a couple problems with you, so I'll do those as well. So here is number 13. I felt number 13 was a little bit of a jump, a little bit of a twist. Lesson number 13 question number 13 comes from lesson number 3. And it's something similar to like square root of 16. They're asking you to classify these. Well, you might say, well, I don't know how to classify that. Where does that come from? Well, you got to recognize that the square root of 16 is 4. That's something I think you should have already come across before. So square root of 16 is 4. Now classify 4. Well, 4 is going to be a real number. So we'll just put real. We don't have to put the word number there. It's going to be real. It will be rational, because I can write it over 1. It's not irrational. It is an integer. If you don't remember these, just go back to your notes from lesson number 3. It's whole, and it is a counting number. Let's see if I can get all that on there for you. So it's real, rational, integer, whole, and counting. Number 14. Number 14 is 1/3. 1/3, it's a number that we can think of, so it's going to be real. It is rational. Ooh, yeah, it's rational. Some of you might think, well, is it rational? Yeah, because watch what happens when I take 3 and I divide it on the calculator. 1 divided by 3. So 1 divided by 3, and there it is, 3. And it repeats. So remember, repeating numbers are going to be rational. The numbers that are non-repeating, where they terminate, those would be, or non-repeating numbers, those are the ones that are going to be irrational. So it's real, it's rational, it's not an integer, and it's not whole, and it's not counting. So it's just real and rational. All right, here's number 27 from lesson number 1. So let's go -5 minus, looks like they've got a brace, 5 plus 3 times 4 minus 6. Let's see what happens here. All right, we're going to start inside. It sure is tempting to add the 3 and 5 together, but remember we have to multiply before we add, and everything else comes down along for the ride. So there's the 5, there's 12. 3 times 4 is 12. Add those two together, bring down everything else. Remember this right here, we can classify as just -17. So this is -5 minus 17 minus 6. The signs are the same, so we add them together. 5 and 17 is 20. What is that going to be? 22. Keep their sign in the answer. -22 and -6, signs are the same again, so that'll be negative. So add them together, so that's -28. And there it is. That's number 27. Here's number 29. 29 is going to be 15 plus 3, something similar to number 29 at least. I think I have, I don't have a parenthesis there, I've got a bracket. So that'll be, let's do 5 plus 1 times 3. Close the brace, and there's the 9. Okay, we start innermost, and there's innermost right there. It's 5 plus 1. So bring down everything else. There's the 15, there's the 3, there's the brace. 5 plus 1 is 6. There's the bracket times the 3. But my brace and my 3 look a lot alike. All right. Now, I've done everything inside here, so then I go to my bracket. So I've done everything inside the bracket, then I go to my brace. Let's say that correctly. I did everything inside the bracket, then I go to the brace. So my next step is to do 6 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. So bring everything else down. There's the brace. I have addition, I have multiplication, I have addition. So we'll multiply first. And so 15 plus 54 plus 9. 15 and 54, add those together, it's going to give us what? 69 plus 9, and that'll give us 78. And there it is. Good luck on lesson number 5.